3, 2, 1. Welcome to a special host's birthday edition of Fragments of Silicon that we're not supposed to mention that.
Never said you couldn't mention it. Like
I know, that's why I did. It's
we're
more
just
fun
not allowed to
pretend,
sing
though.
about it.
Yeah.
no singing. I've already endured that for today.
Singing is grounds for immediate dismissal.
Yeah, I'm like, that's reserved for family members, and even then, it's quite insufferable. Like, even when there's a kid involved. Especially when there's a kid involved. Anyway, welcome to another edition of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam, and introducing, as always, is the team. Petty Fan.
Yo.
Yalix.
Hello.
Ogre.
Got a little kitty cat here. Meow.
Yeah, my cat's over there, sleeping. And Twilight.
Yo.
All right. Well, let's dive into the news.
Wow, I don't even get introduced. This is terrible.
Sorry.
You get your own introduction when we get to the interview.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm just hanging back. Got it. Okay, secret guest will be quiet. Continue with the podcast.
You are allowed to talk during our news segment, though.
Yes.
If you want to.
All right.
Laugh at our tales of misery and woe.
Well, I guess that means you're starting this week, Petty Fan.
We finally got most of the yard work taken care of that we've been needing to do for months, but it's been too freaking hot. So, hooray.
Well, if it means you avoid another fight with the city.
Yeah. Also, they've been picking up construction on the fire station they were going to be putting, like, less than a block away from my house.
I was going to say, I'm sure this is not something that's going to be interfering with your sleep or daily routine or...
Well, it depends. After it gets built, it might interfere with the show because, firefighters gotta fight them fires.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not exactly quiet about doing it.
We're already familiar with the endless motorcycle parade that goes on outside.
Seriously, I don't know why, though.
Just be lucky his keyboard hasn't broken partway through so he can't mute it all the time.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be getting that replaced in the next few weeks. The money to be able to. Like, I prefer it would last till Christmas, because then the parents can get me a new keyboard.
Right.
But if I have to buy it myself, then them's the breaks.
I mean, getting a keyboard isn't that expensive.
Well, I usually get a little bit higher end one, just because...
I was about to say, like, you might have to break down and get, like, a $20 wireless or something like that in the interim.
Yeah, well, it's like...
Are wireless keyboards cheaper now?
They are, but I hate wireless keyboards with a passion just because batteries.
Oh, no, me too.
I'm just saying, not as you're going to be using this for years. It's just, if you need a keyboard, you need a keyboard.
Well, my mom said I can use one off her laptop because she has a laptop. She has a keyboard built in.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not without a keyboard if this one dies suddenly. It's just more inconvenient.
That's helpful.
But, yeah.
Right. Anything else?
Other than that, not really. Just been kind of looking into stuff we want to get for the house after my mom's settlement comes in. Like possibly switching to smart lights and whatnot.
Okay.
What are ones that go on automatically when you get near?
With your phone.
Oh.
So I could be like, use the Google Assistant and be like, hey, turn on my bedroom, turn on the porch light, turn on the laundry room light, stuff like that.
Apps are fun. Anyway, anything else?
Other than still hunting for show guests, no.
All right then. Galax, you're up.
Well, it's been really hot the last couple days. It's cooled down and is now very humid again. Yay. We all love that. Not a whole lot work related or anything, but for video games, I still have to play the games we're reviewing for this week, but I have been playing Splatoon 2 a bit since that's out, and the first non-preview Splatfest is this weekend, so I'm hoping to get to level 10 before then, and I'm pretty close to that.
Did you Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to ask, did you get the chance to play any of the story mode?
I'm into the second world on the story mode, but I'm trying to... No, I just beat the second world on the story mode, but I'm trying to juggle that with the actually getting levels up in multiplayer so that I can get new stuff to do for new weapons and gear particularly.
Well, the scrubs are still pouring in, so you're not getting just completely destroyed.
My win ratio is a little over 50%. A lot of which is probably due to being a veteran from the first one, but they expanded the level at which you unlock weapons in this game. It goes all the way up to 30 instead of 20, so it'll be a while before I get some of the higher end ones, but I'm hoping to get like the I just got the NZAP, which is one of the ones that I actually like, but I'm not super fond of its subs now. I mean, they're not bad, but I'm trying to try around and get different things, but I'm only level 9, so there aren't that many that I've unlocked. I'm kind of liking the idea of the dualies, but I haven't found one with a set that I like yet.
Oh, right, so it uses a set system.
Yep. Well, that's intentional. It's to balance the things, because if you have the best gun with the best bombs and the best special, then obviously that's unfair. The gear customization system is a little bit better in this one, though, because you can, like... it's expensive, but you can, like, if you have abilities you want on a particular thing and you have them on a different thing, you can basically wash them off of the thing that they're on and then put them on the thing that you want them on.
Nifty.
But yeah, I've been having fun with that. But that's most of my video gaming for this week. Except from I'm keeping up with the Japanese on Duolingo, even though I accidentally missed a couple days this weekend because I was busy with Pathfinder and stuff.
Right. All right. Twilight, you go.
Well, today my mother got a new living room suit and mattress for her and my father's bed. And so the past 2 days I consisted of us moving furniture around so that people could bring those in. And besides that, been still playing Borderlands 2 with friends of mine, and it's been hot here, and that's about it. And and been playing Get Even as well. That's it from me.
Okay, Ogre, you're up.
I have learned a valuable lesson when it comes to cooking, and it's that enchiladas are a bitch to make.
I can concur wholeheartedly.
You know,
that's one of those things where there's a very near thing between done and burnt.
It was fun making the sauce. The recipe I followed apparently had me make a roux for it, which is kind of fun when you're an amateur and go like, did I just make a roux? I think I just made a roux. And then I had to do the meat, and then I got to individually fry the tortilla shells, and that's when everything dauntingly went, oh, this is gonna suck.
That moment when you know you've bitten off more than you can chew.
And then came the actual construction of the enchiladas, and I went, fuck this shit. This ain't happening for a long time anymore. They were good enchiladas, but kind of dashed any dreams of making tamales anytime soon. I can tell you that much.
Are tamales even harder to make?
Oh, they're They're not that hard, but they're smaller, so you can make a lot more of them. It's just always something I wanted to make, but I don't know, not anytime soon. That's why I did like sliders and fries tonight. I was like, fuck it, I'm doing something simple tonight. Let's see. Recording wise, I think we're about close to the end of the original Blaster Master. I don't know how much longer this thing goes in the re-release and everything. It's been fun. That last level kind of ratcheted up the difficulty out of nowhere on us, though. I'm gonna put it as simple as I can. Sudden stealth mechanics, and I'll just leave it at that. Let's see.
How are you feeling about doing long-term projects? Still burnt out?
We're gonna do a couple of smaller things beforehand, and then we'll discuss what we do next. What big thing we do next.
I mean, I know there's a game that's been looming for what, a year now?
I guess. I really don't know. I'm kind of just whatever the mood, the fancy mood, and all that stuff.
I'm talking about Xenoverse 2, like.
Well, we got to do that at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know when. Since it's August now, they're starting to buckle down on the wedding preparations, so shit's not gonna get done anytime soon. I can tell you that much.
No,
You have to make time for Xenoverse 2. This is accurate.
Yeah.
I do at some point. I had to upgrade my entire freaking computer for it.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it didn't want to work on Windows 8, so I had to upgrade to Windows 10, and it's for one of the first things I tried, and I was like, yes, I can finally play it.
All right.
They did a Let's Play of the first game, what, about 2 years ago now?
Okay.
About the time it released, yeah. We would have done it last year, but again, my computer did not want to work whatsoever. Let's see. We managed to beat the second fight of the current raid stuff. Saturday? Was it Saturday we did it?
You and me, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got close to the full raid group Tuesday. Got through the first 2 tiers, and now we have to do the 3rd tier, which might as well just be the, hey, can you play mechanics and games right? No? Well, get ready to start over again sometime soon.
I still wish we could have recorded last night's reactions. They were priceless.
Yeah. Very priceless. My favorite part last night is still that one time when negative 100 G's hit, and on my side of the screen, Elk's character just went poof! Like, everyone else goes up normally, he just shoots up like a goddamn rocket, and it just cracked me up. Let's see. Anything else? Huh. Not really that much else for once. Huh. Alright. I'm done then. Adam, birthday boy's up.
Yeah. Well, as previously indicated, it is my actual birthday today. Like,
I'd sing, but I fear I'd be ejected into the void.
I don't think you can be fired because you're the one who actually does this stuff. So
yeah, you've got job security for the time being. It's like you're the one who's actually running the infrastructure. So if I booted him, we would not. We would have to quickly switch over to Twilight.
You'll still be reprimanded, though. Anyway,
yeah. So I am 1 year older. Like, when you get to my unspecified age, you stop caring about birthdays as you once did. Yeah. So greater than 21 is all I'll say in this space. Let's see. Actual birthday festivities. That's happening on Friday. Due to, well, first of all, still had a show to do. But it's also my mom had other plans today, so on Friday we're going to an Indian restaurant. Been to before. It's pretty good. I would go to it more if it weren't like 30 minutes away. It's like kind of puts a damper on eating habits.
Yeah.
Let's see. Actually been pretty busy behind the scenes because we're working on a new project for the greater network. That's all I'll say at this point. This is a thing that's been in development for about 6 months now, maybe 9 months. It's been in the stages for a while now, and things are actually quickly solidifying, and we'll be able to talk more about it in the near future, probably next week, probably on MSP, if we are going to talk about it. Outside of that, also been busy with this show, in between, the game reviews we've been doing and setting up stuff, and had to quickly rewire this show because our original guests canceled out due to scheduling conflicts. So it's been a busy time. And I guess that's about it for news on my end. So merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us once again is Dmitryi from Bandai Namco.
First of all, happy birthday, Adam.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. I'm glad you were able to fill in on such short notice.
Oh, no problem. I figure I had a blast last time, and I definitely wanted to come back and do it again.
That's good. It's always good when people like to come back on the program. Anyway, so the game we're going to be talking about here first is called Get Even. It's a build as a first-person shooter, but I think it might be better to quantify it as a cross between a first-person shooter and a indie survival horror game.
Ooh, I wouldn't call it a survival horror game. I would say psychological thriller in the first-person perspective.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of framing it, because
that's a marketing term right there.
Yes, it is, but also I think it properly defines the game, just because it's not really survival horror. You're not, collecting ingredients or anything like that. You have a good amount of bullets. It's more about the exploration. It's not as it's not something to the effect of what's the term I'm looking for? A walking simulator. There is action moments in the game. There's a lot of action moments in the game, but it's not all action all the time. Like say with something like Wolfenstein. So you have these quiet moments of exploration where you're exploring the hub world and gathering clues and stuff like that. And then there's elements where you're just fighting a bunch of bad guys and doing all kinds of crazy things within the environment.
Honestly, if there's a game it reminds me of, you've probably never heard of this one, but it's a game we recently featured called Conarium.
What is it?
Conarium.
Canary?
Cornarium.
Conarium. No, you stumped me. I thought you were going to go with Condemned, but no, I never heard of Conarium.
Now, that's not too surprising. It's an indie horror game that got released a couple months ago. Very Lovecraftian in the literal sense. But I mean, and it also reminds you of other indie horror games like, say, Amnesia, and so on and so forth. A lot of walking, exploration, tension building, that kind of deal. Yeah, I will say the game is different with the shooting mechanics. You don't get, it's like. There aren't a lot of indie horror games, to my knowledge, that have action moments like that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's definitely I could definitely see some similarities for sure. I think Get Even is a bit more fast paced, a little bit more. I guess the term I'm looking for is a little bit more high end than this game.
Yeah, you seem to have put in a little bit more of the shooter back into the horror thing that probably largely initiated from things like Resident Evil and stuff like that.
Right.
But then kind of branched off into the more actiony ones and the more suspensey ones.
Right, and there's elements that make this game unique as well, like being able to kind of, without getting too spoilery, being able to put things into the environment, to your advantage. Whether it, like, say for instance, pieces of cover, you're able to phase those into the environment, or the corner gun. That's like a big staple of Get Even. So there's elements in that game in Get Even that make it unique or different than, like, say, Cornerium or Condemned.
Right. It definitely has that indie horror flavor, but it does have its own unique identity from what I've played. Admittedly, I haven't played as much as I wanted to because, well, we just got this game on Monday. And,
right.
It's like, I'm like, I think it took about 2 to 3 hours to download.
Oh, wow, okay.
Well, it's a 22 gigabyte game.
Yeah, it's a pretty large game. There's a lot of voice acting in it. There's a lot of music. The other thing that sets it apart from other games is the audio, the Aura 3D audio that it uses. I don't know if you've noticed that or if you play with headphones, but it definitely has a unique audio setup. When you're walking throughout the world, and the way you're able to hear things in the background, and the way things shift, and the clanking, it's definitely a different audio feel than other games as well in the first person genre.
Does that work with, like, surround sound?
Yes, yeah, it works. So, like, if you go to the options menu, you're able to select whether you want to use headphones or the surround sound, and yeah, the whole Aura 3D sound is still, like, active in whatever setup you use.
Is it does it go up to, like, 7.1, or is it just like 5.1?
I believe it's 7.1. Yes.
Not that I have a setup like that. I don't live in a place that's really conducive to surround sound.
Gotcha. Yeah, I play with headphones
my
too.
headphones are 7.1 surround because I have Razer Krakens.
Okay.
Where are those last two?
What the extra two speakers?
Yeah.
So the 7.1, I don't have a 5. I have a 5.1 setup. I think it's off to the sides. There's there's side speakers and there's speakers in the back.
Okay.
But I could be talking out of my butt. So.
Yeah, I'm like, I used to have a 5.1 surround sound system, but it broke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, it sounds awesome whether you play with headphones, your TV speakers. It's definitely, it has its own audio experience as well. Like, it's something the developers really focused on.
So speaking of the developers, this comes from the Farm 51.
Yep, the guys that did what was that game? I forget. Hell. Shoot, I'm trying to remember the name. It was a first-person shooter. Also, very fast-paced.
They worked on the
Painkiller.
Yeah, they worked on the Painkiller franchise.
That's right. Yeah. So it comes from those guys. They have a pedigree when it comes to first-person shooters, and Painkiller is a totally different game than this. This is a lot more slower paced than Painkiller. Painkiller was very much an homage to, like, Doom and Quake and stuff like that, where it's very fast paced and you're killing a lot of enemies at one time. It had its own story as well, but this is a lot slower paced, a lot more methodical, a lot more intense, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I mean, even leading up, like, I can spoil a little bit of the beginning of the game, leading up to it, where you're trying to rescue the girl from the warehouse or the asylum, and things go wrong from there. It's definitely, it has a slower paced feeling to it, like the lead up.
Definitely, and I can see where the Condemned connection comes from, because shortly before you get to the girl, you're scanning for evidence.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, and as you get further, how far are you in the game, Adam?
I'm at the asylum.
Okay. Because so a lot of this game takes place in the asylum. Have you gotten to your hub, like central hub yet, where you're kind of in your own room and you have photos up on the wall? Have you gotten to that part yet?
I don't think so. I'm still exploring the asylum.
Okay, you are in for a treat. Like as you get further and further into this game, it evolves. Like at one point, I thought it was gonna be okay. I'm up to this first-person shooter part. Now this is where the action is gonna get like heavy. I'm just gonna be taking out guys left and right, and then all of a sudden it slows down again, and you're kind of exploring this hub world and talking to Red, who is another character in the game, and you're trying to figure out who Red is. You play it as Coal Black or just Black, and then there's this other character named Red. And there's this like almost Alice in Wonderland story that starts taking place, and you're wondering where it's starting to go. I won't spoil too much, but just keep Alice in Wonderland in mind when you're playing this game.
So this is very, very nonfiction, or fiction rather.
Fiction, yes.
I know how words work.
Yeah, no worries. It's definitely fiction, and it definitely. I keep saying definitely a lot. I'm going to stop that. It takes you on. You think you're going to go one way with this game, where you think it's going to be a very action-oriented game, and then all of a sudden it slows down and switches up with like this puzzle-solving element or this story element where you're getting all these voice clues and you're talking to all these different characters, and then it becomes a psychological thriller, almost like a movie. Where you're trying to figure out what Black is doing here. Why is he sent back to this asylum? Why is Red taunting him? What is Red trying to do? Are we in Coal Black's mind? Are we in the real world? And there's a lot of that going on. So this game it's surprising for the people that haven't played it. They see these videos and they think, oh, it's just going to be a standard first-person shooter, and it's not. I thought that's what it was going to be. It started to get to that point when I got the corner gun at first, and then all of a sudden things slow down. I'm talking to Red. Red's talking to me, and he's trying to figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing, and what am I supposed to be doing for him? I know I'm speaking a little bit vaguely, but that's because I don't want to spoil a really, really interesting and cool story.
Right. And so another feature of this game is, well, we can see it on screen right here, is what it functions as the HUD system here. Instead of having like a standard video gaming display, all of your functionality is taking place on your smartphone.
Right. A lot of it is.
Right. And it's a pretty advanced smartphone. If I'm being honest.
It's pretty advanced, but I think nowadays, well, yes, it is pretty advanced. It's weird that it's not. It's similar to like an iPhone. I see that phone, and it's almost like a device as opposed to a phone. It is a phone. Don't get me wrong. You will talk to people on it. But yes, in terms of having all types of unique features that aren't on phones nowadays, you are correct. It is pretty advanced.
Yeah, I mean, I know smartphones are pretty advanced bits of kit here, but it's like I'm not sure if there's a smartphone out there yet that can do the UV scanning thing yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doing any
about
sort of
years.
Yeah, any sort of CSI, forensics evidence gathering.
Right, and the other thing, it actually the phone works within the game to solve puzzles as well. Like I'll give you an example. You're going through a certain part of the asylum, and there's these steam pipes up ahead, and they block off an entrance. You can just kind of go around and shoot the lock, but then it affects the story somehow. Like I said, I won't spoil too much, but if you do it I guess for lack of a better word, the grunt way, the stupid way, where you just shoot the lock, go through the door, you get a kind of a message from Red, the person on the other end of the phone, saying, "Oh, you should have figured this out. You shouldn't have just gone straight through. There's a better way. Use your head next time." And what you're supposed to do there is you're supposed to pull up the UV scanner on your phone and scan for heat in the pipes and where you have to turn it off. So the pipes will turn, like once you have the UV scanner up, the pipes will be red, and then you're supposed to turn off the pressure to make them green and kind of go and maneuver through the pipes. So there's puzzle elements involved to it. You can go through the game and shooting things and go through it just as a standard first-person shooter, but it pays off to solve those puzzles and use your mind as opposed to just running straight through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that puzzle.
Okay. Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about when Red, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something to the effect of like, oh, you should have used your head instead of, running gun through it.
I'll be honest, I didn't know you could shoot off locks.
Yeah, you can. A pro tip: you can shoot off locks.
That's actually going to be handy. I know I've already missed some stuff because, well, I will admit if there's an issue I'm having with the game, it's the actual evidence gathering. But you do that with the phone, and it has to be lined up with the green, and sometimes that can be finicky.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is a bit finicky. Once you get used to it, it's a little better. Like you know what you're supposed to be looking for. You're looking straight at this thing, and then when you try to use your phone, it's like it doesn't scan. And right. I agree. They could have done a better job of it making less finicky. It works for the most part. I think it works well. But yeah, there are certain parts where you're just like, I know this is what I'm supposed to scan. Why won't you scan?
Yeah, definitely had some issues with that, especially with moving targets. Let's just say.
Yes.
Anyway, so I see the game is built off of Unreal Engine. Oddly enough, Wikipedia says this is Unreal Engine 3.
That is a good question. I want to say it's that it was previously Unreal Engine 3, and then it got upgraded to Unreal Engine 4. Mm-hmm. Because this game, I don't know if you know the development history. It's been in development for quite a long time. So I think it's actually Unreal 4 now.
That would make sense because I don't think UE3 is even supported anymore.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know if you remember the old concept art for Get Even. They had this crazy looking concept art way back in the days. It got advertised a long time ago. This game was supposed to come out a while ago, and it had some development woes, and then it finally came out. But yeah, I believe it's Unreal Engine 4 now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can you tell us about the development history of the game here?
I know the developers were super dedicated to creating this original story, so much so that they went out and hired professional movie and TV writers to craft the story. I know their big focus was sound. And actually, if you go on our YouTube channel, if you just search Bandai Namco US on YouTube, we have several videos. If you just look at the Get Even playlist that chronicle the development of the game from the writing aspect to the sound to just gameplay and story. So there's several videos in there that showcase the development history. So if you want to know more about that, I would highly recommend watching those videos. They're really interesting.
Maybe something to be done. And at what point did Bandai Namco come in and what kind of role did they did you guys play in the development of this game, if any?
That's so we've been working on this game for a while now. We mainly support it as a publishing arm for the game. We haven't really we didn't do any of the development portion. I can't talk about it too much just because I wasn't there for that part. All I can really tell you is that Bandai Namco did have a role in it. I'm not sure the extent of that role.
Fair enough. Now I'm sure the role, it's one of those things that's, some are more involved than others.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was a collaboration effort. This game we did help to bring it about, but I'm not sure what the extent of development versus publishing was.
So how long was this game in development all told?
Oh, I want to say it was maybe 4 or 5 years. I could be wrong. It's around that time. And then just as we were about to release it, we had to, and this was something that we talked about, just as we were about to release the game, we had to delay it about a month just because of the horrible incident in London with the bombings. So
right.
It had to be delayed out of respect for that, and it made sense. There's certain aspects of the game where there is a bomb involved. It has nothing to do with bombings, but there is a bomb in the game, and we want it to be respectful.
I get that. The bombing incidents in this game is nothing like what happened in real life, but
right, yeah. But still, the game was being released at the same time. We wanted to steer clear of all the negativity of that. So We were like, let's pay our respects. This is not something. It was a horrific thing that happened there, and we don't want to bring this game out around the same time. So that's why we delayed it. Out of respect for what happened.
Right. I'm like, and I suppose the question beckons: when you did release the game, did anyone complain or anything like that?
No, there was no complaints. Once people saw what the actual part was in the game, it really has nothing to do with any bomb. There, like I said, there's a bomb in the game. It happens quite early on, and it has nothing to do with bombings in general. It's just one one story portion early on in the game.
Right.
So they're not really related, but still, something there was something in there, and that we didn't want to bring it around the same time frame.
No, I get you. I get you. I'm like, let's see. Was Bandai Namco involved in the dubbing of this in any capacity, or was that done with the farm?
No, that was Farm 51. Those guys brought together an excellent voice cast. Once again, if you watch the documentary, you'll see some of that. But I feel the voice acting is very strong in this game, especially Cole Black. He sounds without mentioning any names, but he sounds very similar to a certain other British actor, that's been in several movies.
Yeah. I'm like, I think I know who you're talking about, because he definitely reminded me of someone who was in, let's say, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, that, or let's just say he snatched that role up.
Yes, okay, I think we are talking about that person.
We are on the same page. That is correct. I'm pretty sure the voice actor you're talking about is not Turkish, but British.
Yes, there we go. Oh, it has been long. Anyway, so how long is this game on average?
I think you can finish it in about 10 or 12 hours.
Oh, that's actually fairly lengthy.
Yeah. It's your average size game, and for $29.99, I think it's the perfect price point for it.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see that price working for a game of that size and this stature.
Yeah, and like I said, there's lots more to it, and that's 10 or 12 hours if you know what you're doing. If you're exploring and trying to figure out the puzzles, you'll definitely get more out of it.
Yeah. Right. So, tell us more about the corner gun, since it seems to be perhaps the most unique weapon in the game.
Yeah. So the corner gun, you get it pretty early on. Then you you get it taken away. Then you have to get it back. It's a really interesting weapon. It acts just as it sounds. It's a gun that lets you peek around corners and shoot. I believe the movie. Actually, I was just watching. I don't know if you remember the movie Wanted.
Wanted.
Angelina Jolie, McAvoy.
Oh yeah. I know the movie.
He's able to curve bullets.
Yeah.
So I was just recently watching that, and they actually use a corner gun in that movie. Angelina Jolie actually uses it. She shoots around a corner.
Right.
And
corner guns are actually real tech.
Yes, real tech. That's been around for a little bit now. But yeah, in the game, it's used to shoot around corners, so you can shoot stealthily around corners or over obstacles also. Pretty self-explanatory. It just looks really cool. You put your phone on the corner gun, it attaches to it, and then you're able to peek around the corner and use your heat vision, line up the enemy, pow, take them out without being noticed.
A little bit higher tech than the ones with the mirror periscopes and just bent barrels that they had in World War II or whatever.
That is correct. It is definitely a bit more higher tech than that.
Yeah.
And the corner gun is actually integrated into the story. One of the people you're hunting down, for lack of a better term, early on, is the maker of the corner gun technology, and you have to infiltrate the factory where they produce the corner gun and steal the technology So it's integrated in the story. There's a reason why you're going after him. It's not clear in the beginning, and Red tells you more about it. So it's not just a weapon that you get. You do get it early on in the game without any type of explanation, but that's just to teach you how to use it. As you get further into the game, there's a reason why you have the coin.
Right. And you mentioned that feeds into the stealth mechanic. Now,
very much.
Now, to talk about the stealth mechanic itself, how necessary is it to gameplay, and how much stealth is in it? Are we
There's
talking
quite a bit. I would say
Splinter Cell levels here?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Are we talking like Splinter Cell here, or something less?
No, nothing like that. I feel like with Splinter Cell, once you kind of get seen, you kind of, like with me when I play a Splinter Cell game, once you kind of are seen, you kind of want to restart the levels because, I'm not playing it right. With Get Even, it's, oh, hey, I'm doing this and stealth, all of a sudden I get seen. I can continue on because the character that you're playing is kind of a gruff action hero type guy where it's like, oh, well, if stealth doesn't work, I'll go into full on action mode. But I would say stealth would be the best way to play this game, just because there's a lot more fun to be had with that. I know certain games with stealth elements aren't as fun, but with using the corner gun and being able to sneak, it's a lot more fun than trying to just run and gun. Additionally, there's elements where you can kind of, I wouldn't say set up stealth, but you can set up. Okay, I'm gonna spoil a little bit more of the story. Eventually, you get to a point in the game where you go into Coal Black's mind, and because you're in his mind, you're able to do things. You're able to do things in his mind that you're not able to do in the real world. For instance, phasing objects like a barricade to where you can hide behind the barricade. So playing with this, hiding behind barricades, hiding around walls, using the corner gun is a lot more fun than just straight running and gunning. I feel like this game was intended for stealth, but they also wanted to, if you wanted to play it as a straight up action game, you also have just standard rifles that you can use in the game as well. Okay.
So you can choose the non-stealthy route if you so wish.
Yes.
No plant survives contact with the enemy and such.
Exactly.
So the game is out on not just the Windows platform, but the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One as well, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So how does the game compare on the consoles to the PC version?
It's very close. Like I play it on the PlayStation 4 when I want to sit down and play it on my big screen TV. I played it on PC before. We actually played it on the PC on the live stream. They are nearly identical. PC runs slightly better. It is a noticeable frame rate enhancement, but if you're playing on PlayStation, you're going to get the experience, or Xbox One.
Right, and on the subject of the PlayStation, is this PlayStation Pro compatible?
Yes, but I'm not sure if there's any type of enhancement. I don't think there's any type of enhancement when you're running on PS Pro.
I suppose that's unfortunate.
I mean, it's not really a super high-end game, so you don't need to be running 120 frames per second. It runs just fine on a PlayStation 4, and it runs just fine on a PlayStation Pro.
Mm-hmm. Right. Does this game compare with keyboard and mouse as a controller?
Are asking the wrong person, because I love keyboard and mouse. I love playing on keyboard and mouse. For me, that's how I play first-person shooters. I love playing on a high-end rig, but it plays fine on a PlayStation 4 on a PS4 pad as well. It will maybe play it either way. I prefer keyboard and mouse just because I have more. Any first-person shooter.
I can't play FPS with the controller. I just cannot get used to the oversteer of analog.
I grew up playing, first-person shooter. When I was younger, I couldn't afford a high-end PC. I grew up playing, with a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 controller. So I have no issues with it, but I see some people, that are so used to keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I grew up on playing console shooters, but when I moved over to keyboard and mouse, there was no going especially since a lot less use auto aim compensate for the lack of precision.
Yeah. And I thought the auto line. When I first started playing Gaven, I was playing it on console, had no issues. Obviously, for keyboard and mouse, if you're gonna play on you have that option for on Xbox One. I feel like it's not too much of an issue.
Right. And in terms of like the PC, it's only for Windows, no Mac or Linux.
No, it's only on PC.
Okay. Always, I'll be honest, always a bit unfortunate to hear because we know a lot of people who Linux, Mac kind of deal, but not every game gets the ports.
At the very least, it's less uncommon than it used to be.
Yeah,
definitely.
And speaking of which, I'm not sure if you can speak on this matter, but have there been any discussions to bring this game to the Nintendo Switch?
Oh man, anytime we talk about any game, it's always like, hey, are you going to bring it to the Switch? There have been no discussions to bring this to the Switch.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't see this game coming to the Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, it's not a high-end game, but it's definitely a higher-end game than I think the Nintendo Switch might be capable of handling. Like, it's a real issue that's going on right now in terms of bringing games to the system. I mean, it's like I know Nintendo Switch fans want more games on their system and all that stuff, but there is a legitimate power gap between that and a PlayStation 4.
I mean, granted, it's lesser than what it was with the Wii U, but it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, and it's still quite pronounced. Now, and I know a lot of developers have lamented that the Nintendo Switch isn't as powerful as the other systems, but considering what the Nintendo Switch is,
the other systems aren't designed for like multiplayer where you bring your little thing to some place and then hook it up with 8 other people.
Well, it's also not designed to be a portable system,
right?
Like, it's like
you sacrifice power when you go portable. That's just the plain fact of it.
Yeah, it's like Nintendo was. I don't think anyone is currently capable of shoving a PlayStation 4 into a Nintendo Switch space currently.
They might be able to, but they wouldn't be around the $300 mark. We'd be looking at almost like $1,000.
Right. In terms of affordability, I should quantify. It's like you can do it. It's just it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be cheap. Anyway, you were saying, Dmitry?
Oh no, I might have misheard you, but I feel like the developers are slowly but surely learning to optimize the Switch to run higher end games. Take for instance, we just announced Xenoverse 2 on the Switch, and from everything I've seen, it runs really well. So I feel and looking at say something like Breath of the Wild, running a high end game is possible.
Oh no, I know running a high-end game is possible. It's just, THQ Nordic, I think recently spoke on, they were hoping that, they're disappointed that it wasn't as powerful as a PlayStation 4, and I've heard other developers echo that sentiment because we know developers who have been struggling to get their games working on the Nintendo Switch. Like, Rhyme comes to mind.
At least the Switch has a better reason for being underpowered than the Wii U did.
Right. It's like, form factor, portability, all that kind of dealies. So, yes, like, speaking of Xenoverse 2 for the Nintendo Switch, I don't know how much you can speak to that particular port here, Dmitry. But
I don't want to speak too much on it. It's coming out pretty soon. I can tell you that much. I think it runs great. It's got some great features. The 6-player ad hoc mode looks really cool. Being able to play a portable and then being able to play, each person using a Switch controller, playing it on one screen. It's definitely has some cool, unique features. So that's all I can really say about it.
But the question everyone really wants to ask is, are we getting Super Saiyan Samus as a special guest character?
I'll look into it.
Though that did happen with Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Yeah. Nothing's off the table.
Well, it's like, it was just a costume, but still, it's like reading up on the specs for Xenoverse 2 for Nintendo Switch. I'm, mostly impressed, but I am a bit concerned about the frame rates.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people have concerns when a game is ported from a next gen system like a PlayStation 4, or Xbox One, or a PC onto the Switch. The Switch has its own technical limitations, but like I said, from everything I've seen, Xenoverse runs great.
Right. It's just I'm like looking at the multiplayer modes. They're apparently going to be running in 30 versus 60 on other systems. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's, it's not going to run bad or anything. It's just, there is less power there, so things are going to be affected in those kind of ways.
Right.
So what other games are coming soon from Bandai Namco that you can speak about?
Ooh, I mean, we have like a great lineup. I mean, we have Ni no Kuni 2 coming out, for PlayStation 4. That's coming out next year. We have Dragon Ball FighterZ early next year as well. We actually just recently announced we're getting One Piece Unlimited World Red on the Switch this year. I believe it's in September for the Switch. We announced Seven Deadly Sins coming out. We have Little Witch Academia coming out. Seven Deadly Sins, I believe, is PlayStation 4. Little Witch Academia is PlayStation 4. We've got Code Vein coming out early next year. That's Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PC. So we have a huge lineup of games that are coming out soon.
Don't forget Dot Hack GU, which I guess that's TBD in the West.
So there's a ton of games. Project Cars 2, if you're into racing, we have like such a diverse lineup of games coming out. It's crazy. So if you're into racing games, we got Project Cars 2. Obviously, our big thing is anime titles. We have One Piece. We have Seven Deadly Sins.
Gundam Versus.
Which one?
Gundam Versus.
Gundam Versus, yes, that's coming out real soon as well. I mean, people are so hyped for that. Like I said, just a plethora of different titles. It's an exciting time to be working at Bandai Namco, is what I can tell you.
So what genre is this? What genre is this Little Witch Academia game?
Little Witch Academia is a side-scrolling RPG. You've played Vanillaware titles, right? Like Odin Sphere. What just came out?
Well, the new
Morimasa. Well, Morimasa has been out for a while, but Morimasa. What was the dragon?
If you're talking like new titles in that style, Aztez comes to mind.
Which one?
No, that's we're reviewing that this week, but no, he's talking about the other actual.
Yeah, he's talking about Vanillaware games.
Is it Dragon's Crown?
Yeah.
Dragon's Crown, Dragon's Crown is another one. That's the one I was thinking of. But think that type of style where it's a 2D side scroller, but it has RPG elements. And then on top of the fact that you have 3 characters with you along for the ride. So I can't speak too much on the mechanics and stuff because that's still kind of buttoned up. But we're going to be, if you stay tuned to our Twitter at Bandai Namco US, we're going to be announcing some stuff real soon for Little Witch Academia.
Cool.
And that one's console only, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Though, most of Bandai Namco stuff is coming to the PC and PlayStation 4, I notice. Now, it's like, even stuff like Dot Hack and Ni no Kuni 2 have been announced for Steam.
Dmitry, we just got somebody in the chat asking if the original 4 Dot Hack games are coming out. If you know anything on that, or if that's
as far as I know, I don't know anything about that. I know we're doing the Dot Hack GU stuff. As far as I know, I'm not on the Dot Hack titles, so I only know what I know. But right now, all I know about is Dot Hack GU.
I'm like I imagine that nobody could really talk about the, if the original quadrilogy was coming, like, it'd probably be coming after GU. Like, otherwise, they do the originals first, then GU.
Yeah, which is weird, but
yeah.
If I remember on the development for GU, though, I think they were basically using HD assets downscale for the PS2, so I think it was technically ready to go. It would probably been the easier port.
So, real quick, I hate to backtrack on Little Witch Academia, but I want to make a correction. It is PlayStation 4 and it is Steam. So it is coming to PC as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's more unusual if, like, a Bandai Namco title doesn't hit the PC. Like, not all of them, but most of them come to Steam these days.
Yeah, more and more we've been focusing on our PC ports. We know they do really well. We know a lot of fans demand PC ports of our games, and I think our PC ports have gotten really good. Starting with God Eater 2 when we released that, that was running at a smooth frame rate. I feel that was a good PC port. Even before then with Tales of Zestiria.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't played like Tales of Zestiria on the PC, but we did play a lot of God Eater last year.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite games of last year that we did.
And what did you guys think of the port?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was about as good as you could get with handheld design, moving to like HD.
Right.
It's like the games ran smooth and all that stuff. I mean, it's just my computer at the time was not this one, and had a bigger problem handling it. But it's like everything moves smoothly and all that.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's just I can always tell when a game comes from handheld because things are a lot smaller. In terms of like stage design, polygons, and all that stuff. And there's only so much you can do that with an upscale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think we're getting low on time for this particular interview. Any last questions from my cohorts here?
I'm surprised you guys aren't asking about Dragon Ball FighterZ. That was like the big thing people.
Well, here's the thing. It's hard to know what things you can talk about. Like,
right. I mean,
I think we were assuming that if we asked about that, you'd just say, well, we can't really talk about that yet. But
I mean, I can talk about certain aspects that we've already revealed. I can tell you, it's done by the Guilty Gear crew. Arc System Works. I could tell you that it's like a heavy focus on the fighting game community and the anime and the Dragon Ball community. Like, we want to bring these two communities together. I can tell you that there's more characters coming. I can tell you that we have a closed beta happening. I believe the signups are happening on August 22nd. And then we should have followed by the closed beta soon. So I can tell you about that stuff. I can tell you it's so far from everything I've seen in that game, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, this is.
I've played Guilty Gear's games. Their art, they put everything into it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen video of fighters. It's a ridiculous. Like it's everything I wanted. It's playing the Dragon Ball cartoons.
All right, just to clarify things, it's pronounced fighters and not fighters.
I'm so glad you're clarifying this. Yes. Oh man, I've been hearing it so many ways. So for the record, it is called Dragon Ball FighterZ, not Fighter Z. It's Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Like the plural, not the edgelord plural.
Right. Yeah, and I could see why people make the mistake because they grew up with Dragon Ball Z. So they have that Z at the end, so they say that separately.
It's also once upon a time, like for a few months in 2000, it was really trendy to end things with an S with a Z in order to be cool.
Right. Like, yeah. Exactly.
Because poor literacy is copyrightable. Credits.
Yes.
But with fighters, it was because the Dragon Ball Z legacy is there, so we chose fighters.
And what systems are the closed beta going to be on, or is that just consoles, or is that also on PC?
Yeah, it's just console for now. So it's PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Looks over my PlayStation 4. I might seem to see about getting in on that.
Yeah. Well, August 22nd. Just keep an eye on our social media channels. That's where we're going to be making the announcement for how to get into the signups.
Noted.
And in terms of fighters, who have you announced for fighters?
So right now we have Goku, Gohan, Boo. Piccolo, Krillin. We just announced. Piccolo and Krillin. Previously, before that, we did Trunks. There's actually a great announcement video on our YouTube channel for Trunks. It's amazing. People have been grabbing that video and kind of superimposing Trunks from the anime, like doing the hand signs in the game, and it's so true to form. Like Arc System Works did great design. But let's see who else. Cell is in there right now. So we have 9 characters total that we've announced so far. And
now, is this taking place in the Z universe, or is it also involving Super?
I can't really say what universe, but Frieza's also in there. And if you've seen Frieza turns into Golden Frieza, I don't know if you've watched any of the videos. And Golden Frieza is from Dragon Ball Super, so you can come to your own conclusions.
Doesn't Trunks have blue hair now, or one version of him?
Future Trunks.
He has, I think, blue hair in Super.
Yeah,
like
He does.
So once again, you'll know more as we announce it.
Yeah.
Now, so this is a game where the fighters transform in the middle of a battle, and it's not like. Sorry, I'm blanking a little bit on. You know what? Never mind. It's not important.
Well, I can tell you that certain characters can transform when you put in a specific command, and they gain additional move sets or stuff like that. Not all characters will transform in the middle of battle. Some characters transform before the battle. Like take for instance Goku. Before he fights, there's a cutscene of him going Super Saiyan, as opposed to like doing it mid game or whatever.
So there's not like in other 2D Dragon Ball Z fighter games where you had to charge up transform. It's actually a button combination.
There is a meter that you have to charge up to do the transformation for certain characters. It's different for each character. So like I said, Goku won't transform. He just pulls off a super once you charge his gauge there. But other characters, their super is transforming into another form. Like Frieza, turns into Golden Frieza.
Okay, that makes sense. We have another question in the chat. Which versions of Cell? Which is a good question that I didn't catch.
I would imagine.
I want to say
Perfect
it's
Cell.
It's the one that points to his head with the me. That Cell.
Yeah, it's like it's always Perfect Cell.
Yeah.
That's what I imagined. But
it's either
some people
Cell
like
or Perfect Cell.
Yeah, it's like you never see Fish Lip Cell. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think the last time we saw that, Goku blew him up.
More or less. It's like, but yeah, it's usually like, with Frieza, you usually get like basic Frieza or final Frieza. You don't usually get the forms in between.
Well, Xenomorph Frieza is generally accepted to be a mistake by everyone involved,
including
I think.
Toriyama.
And Step 2 Frieza is pretty much just slightly beefier normal Frieza, and also using that more would be conflicting with using King Cold because he's in Form 2.
Right. Let's see. Are there any other games we should cover at this point?
I'm pretty sure if we did that, we'd be here all night.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many to count. I can't tell you, I'm super excited. More and more, as I see more and more of Code Vein, I'm more excited for that game.
I'm interested because I'm again a fan of the Monster Hunter and the
Dark Souls?
Well, no, not Dark Souls. The God Eater team is involved on that one. That's right.
Yes, yeah. They're developing the game.
So yeah, I am interested in that.
Okay. The reason I said Dark Souls is a lot of people compare it to that just because of all the rolling and stuff like that. But we just recently revealed some of the new special moves that the characters have. We revealed 2 of the characters that join you on your quest. But there's more information to come. That game is it's still early. It's not coming out till next year, but I have a feeling it's going to be something special.
Well, if you want, Dmitry, we can have you back on the September 30th show to talk about more Bandai Namco games.
Yeah,
Since
I mean,
we have so much to talk about.
Whenever you guys want to have me on, I love doing things like this just because it brings me back to like high school, where I used to just sit around and talk to my friends about video games, which I don't get to do too often. A lot of times it's a lot of work that I have to do, so I can't really talk to my compatriots at work. So it's good to kind of unwind and just talk about video games.
Yeah, we get that. Some other guests have felt that way. Some not so much. It all depends on what they're doing and when their game is coming out.
I guess really quickly, I do want to say that Project Cars 2 is coming out pretty soon. I believe it's coming out in September. I know that's not a big focus for people that enjoy anime games or enjoy like action games, but it's a really cool looking simulation arcade racer. If you remember, Bandai Namco did Ridge Racer. I'm not saying it's anything like Ridge Racer, but if you're looking for an interesting racing game with a lot of customization, definitely take a look at Project Cars 2 coming in September.
And that's one that's fully first person, right?
No, it can be first person. A lot of it, like, that's probably the best way to play it, just because they've spent so much time fine tuning the first person mode. But if you want to race in third person mode, you can.
Yeah, we'll probably talk more about that in late August.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that game. I'm really excited for it, and I feel like it hasn't been getting the exposure it should with like fans like that enjoy like Gran Turismo and stuff like that. I feel Project Cars is gonna be something really interesting.
Well, the first one was pretty successful from what I remember.
Yeah, it was a beautiful looking game. It controlled well. It had a great career mode. It had a ton of cars, and this looks even better. I mean, we're talking like 60 FPS on PlayStation 4. We just announced like the Ferrari cars in the game just today.
Oh, this has licensed vehicles?
Yeah, all licensed vehicles in the game, and we're not just talking, just standard vehicles. You have off-road, you have F1 type cars. So if you are a fan of Gran Turismo, if you want a next-gen racing game, this is the one. The guys over at Slightly Mad Studios, the developer team, have poured their hearts into making this like the most accurate racing game ever. And even if you're not into simulation-heavy games, you can play it just a straight-up, just go and race. You don't have to tune anything. You can play it as an arcade racer and still enjoy it.
That sounds neat.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right. The game is Get Even. It's available for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC. It's going for what, $30?
$29.99. Yes, sir.
Okay. And be sure to pick it up today. Right. So, Petty Fan, move us to the next segment. All right. So welcome to this week's topic of discussion. For those who are new to this program, this is where we talk about video game news or a big story or something from the past, whatever comes to mind. And this week we're going to be talking about the Goemon franchise, otherwise known as Mystical Ninja. Now, a lot of you may not have heard of this series because it's quite old. It's also very, very Japanese.
Also currently very dead.
Yeah. Well, it's Konami. The list of dead franchises right now is quite long.
Is all but Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, and Soccer Manager.
It depends. Does Exists as a Pachinko machine count as dead?
Yes.
Not technically, but it's getting there. Anyway, but I suppose to clarify, Mystical Ninja's been dead for a long time. the last game release was 2005. You know, generally, you know, Konami was still considered to be a really good publisher in 2005. You know, it's only in like the past couple years that they've become, you know, just the worst.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's not to say that the Konami of old didn't make its own mistakes. But you know, we'll get to that when we'll get to that. I suppose we should give an overview of what the Goemon franchise is.
Long ago in the distant past of Japan, there was a samurai who just went rogue and decided to be a thief. His name was Goemon.
Yes, Ishikawa Goemon lived in the mid to late 1500s and is kind of a Japanese Robin Hood figure. And yes, he's what the guy from, it's the same guy that the guy in Lupin III is descended from.
Yeah, in fact...
and he attempted to assassinate the Shogun. It did not go well. And then he got a bathtub named after him because he was boiled in oil afterwards. Note to self, never travel back to Japan to assassinate an emperor or shogun. You will be boiled in oil and have a game series named after you centuries later.
Either it'll go badly and you'll die, or it'll go well and you'll win, and then you'll get killed and die.
And then screw up history.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ishikawa Goemon is a figure that shows up a lot in Japanese media.
He's got a very famous kabuki character too, so it explains the look on his face a lot of times.
Yeah, the Goemon in the games is pretty kabuki. He doesn't have like full-on makeup, but he always has the very dramatic look on his face.
Actually, the original one did.
The original one was the original one in the first game was extremely kabuki.
Now we flash forward to the 80s. It was the 80s, right?
It was the 80s.
The 80s, into an unrelated but somehow related to the whole thing game that started the series, Mr. Goemon.
Yeah, it's like people think the game series started with Legend of the Mystical Ninja, and
God, there was like 6-7 games before that even came over here.
Yeah, I'm like, even before then, Goemon was quite the prolific franchise for Konami on the Famicom. But even before that, there was an arcade game that that actually looks a lot different than everything else that came after it.
Its design is so fucking hilarious. I laugh and enjoy every time I see it. It's just these little paintings of these characters that are chibi that almost seem South Parkish, like just the.
Yeah. I'm like, and Mr. Goemon is an arcade game that we eventually got way later. Like, it debuted over here and in Europe on the Xbox 360 and Games for Windows Live Game Room service. If anyone remembers this, you know, it was Microsoft's like literal classic arcade service. You know, where you could go to a virtual arcade and buy arcade ROMs, or rent the do the quarter thing. Now, it's an interesting idea that puttered out after a year or two, and this was one of the releases. And it's definitely the rough draft of the entire franchise, to say the least. Because, like going forward to even like the NES releases, it gets it gets less serious in its art designs. Like not like here's Gambare Goemon Karokuri Dochu, and its box art looks similar to the arcade game, but not as much. Like And I know I played like one of the NES Goemon games. I'm like, once again, the NES Famicom games are still kind of a rough draft for, generally when the series is considered to be made was when it moved to the Super NES.
Which is the first one that I think that's the one we got over here first, at least.
Right. Like, and I think, still, like one of the most important developments in the NES series was the introduction of Goemon's main sidekick, Ibisimaru.
Who is the sort of fat, lazy, drunk Japanese wandering monk stereotype.
Right. I believe he's
bisexual, I think.
Might be.
They're weird about that.
Yeah, actually, I think Ibisimaru might be pansexual.
Well, then.
That would probably make more sense.
You mean he's into pans?
It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't. Also, shockingly enough, in the original game he premiered in, he was actually a beautiful woman that was cursed to look like a fat, overweight ninja.
Huh.
Yeah.
And at the very end of the game, the curse is broken, and the woman falls in love with Goemon. And then the third game just went like, fuck that shit. He's just fat and old.
Yeah,
well, that kind of puts a slightly different thing on all of the later things where he's, a lady again.
I'm like...
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Because there have been two other versions, I think, where it turned him into a lady. So...
Also, Ibisimaru has a daughter.
Yep.
A daughter named Mao. Pretty minor character, but yeah, this series is fucking nuts.
That might actually be an understatement.
And that's before you get to the Clockwork Giant robot.
Well, it's like, okay.
I think even for Japan, this goes a little like, what?
Well, it's also Ibisimaru and his family are one of the nuttiest aspects. I mean, it's not like we're still peeling off the layers here. He's also claimed to be a descendant of James Dean.
Which this game takes place in the 1500s.
I'm like, this anachronistic as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Descended to that guy from, a few hundred years from now.
Yeah, here we go. I'm like, he is based off of a real character, but not anyone like mythologically famous like Goemon. He's based off of Konami developer Itsunobu Ibitsu.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's like
with the name.
Yeah, it's like, it's not hard to see where it came up with, but I'm like, and Ibisimaru has his family, like Obisimaru, who I think he's the Wario Thief character. I'm like, the guy who dresses up in orange and dons the traditional Japanese thief attire.
Instead of like just the weird hat thing,
right,
wrapped up under his nose.
And then there's also recurring villain Sister Bismaru. Their takeoff of Catholic nuns.
Was that Ane Bismaru?
Possibly. She's like the main antagonist of Goemon 3 on the Super NES and Goemon's Great Adventure for the N64. Yeah, I'm like, we could probably spend about a good 2 hours on Ibisimaru.
And apparently his family just hates the shit out of him for some reason. Like, every one of them just hates him.
I'm like, it's a highly dysfunctional family. I mean, these are highly dysfunctional people.
Apparently, because I hate Ibisimaru too. Fat fuck.
I'm like, Yeah, he's my least favorite character to play as well. Now,
in most of the games, do the characters even have like distinctive abilities, or are they just?
I'm like, yes, they and they get more distinct as the games go on. Like, but we'll get to that in a bit. So the first Super NES game was quite the landmark in not just in terms of it's the first game we got as Legend of the Mystical Ninja, but it's kind of the thing that defined the series going forward. I'm like, not only like in terms of design, like I think, all the not all the elements were there. Like for example, Sasuke and Yai. I think Yai might have been introduced in one of the Gaiden games, but Sasuke and Yai make their mainline debuts here.
Sasuke is the lady ninja who is sometimes a mermaid.
No, Yai is the lady.
That's what I said. Yai, that's what I meant. Yai is the lady who is sometimes a mermaid. Lady ninja who is sometimes a mermaid. Sasuke is the clockwork doll ninja.
Yeah, they debut in this game, but far from being playable characters, Sasuke is actually a boss in this game, because he's the boss you face before you meet Wise Man. And Wise Man is another major recurring character of the series.
Actually has a name. Nobody just calls him by it.
Yeah, everyone just calls him Barkeep.
Exactly.
No. And Wise Man, he's basically Muten Roshi. I think that's if he were an inventor. Because
I think the stereotype is just every old guy is a pervert there, no matter their specialty.
Yeah, he's the perverted old guy, and he will literally have you doing quests for porno mags that get turned into muscle car magazines over here. Because censorship.
Because I think even we have just a limit of so much of that. It's like, come on, guys, really?
Yeah. Speaking of which, the first game really fucked up in terms of translation. Because Ibisimaru and Goemon were known as Kid Ying and Dr. Yang, respectively.
Because sure.
I'm like, I couldn't tell you why. I mean, first of all,
nobody in America can pronounce funny names like Goemon and Yabizumaru. Well, too many vowels, and
I think the irony is that they were the only ones that were translated like that.
Yeah, it's like
everyone else is like perfectly translated fine.
Yeah, like I just rescued Kurobon.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, and it's not even Japanese. It's yin and yang are Chinese concepts. I know Japanese is familiar with it, but this series being Ultra Japan, it actually kind of stands out.
I guess they do still use the yin yang in Japan sometimes, but that's not really
right.
So
I suppose. Yeah. Now, in terms of gameplay, maybe we can get some footage of Mystical Ninja here.
Yeah, these games are kind of weird. They're like a sort of a combination between like a side-scrolling beat 'em up and like almost like a Zelda type game.
And yeah, with a lot of mini games, like the trope "distracted by the gold saucer" or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
like that's this game.
Oh no! Final boss is about to complete Dastardly Plot. Perfect time to finish up all those side quests.
It doesn't quite work that because the Super NES game works on a level-based structure.
This is more like the final boss is burning down the town, but I gotta throw those dice one more time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's also worth noting that this game had some design problems at the end there. Getting the travel pass was kind of a grindy affair.
With the mountain pass and the translation book.
Yeah. No. It's another defining feature of this Goemon game was co-op multiplayer.
Yes, you can play as Goemon and as Ebisumaru.
Yeah, I'm like, which is handy.
With, I believe, pretty much drop-in, drop-out functionality for player 2.
I think so. It's been a while since I played Legend of the Mystical Ninja, but yeah, it's handy for people who would do a co-op playthrough of it.
Looks at Ogre.
Well, look at me.
It's like I'm just saying, with people I've seen who have actually done Mystical Ninja Let's Plays.
Yeah, and on the screen right now should be Legend of the Mystical Ninja from the US version on SNES. Also, somebody's blowing into their mic really hard.
Sorry, am I doing my fan?
And Legend of the Mystical Ninja, it's like I don't know how well it did over here, but
apparently well enough for them to skip the next 3 games and then just go straight to the 64.
I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised we got as many Mystical Ninja games as we did.
Yeah.
Given that, this is Wacky Japan the series. It's like
there are a lot of basically Japanese culture in jokes that won't make sense if you don't know significant amounts about Japanese stuff.
Yeah, and even then, there's a lot of stuff that is just fucking insane. But yeah, it's like, and it wasn't just like the Super NES games. There were some Game Boy games that we didn't get. Some that we did. From what I understand, like the Game Boy games aren't very good.
I think one of them is actually on the Virtual Console now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
And if you have a new 3DS, the Legend of the Mystical Ninja is also available.
I'm playing it right now.
Yeah, I'm like that. That was the benefit of having this game brought over. Like, the Legend of the Mystical Ninja, like the Super NES game, has been available for like every Virtual Console iteration, and it's actually, I believe, going to be a part of the Super Famicom Mini.
Not the Super NES Mini, but
no, but this is a cult game at best, and with the lineup they're going with, it's like it's the top shelf stuff need only apply. We covered that in the in the Super NES Classic discussion. Like,
and yet for some reason Super Soccer's still in there.
That's the Super Famicom.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, that's still bewildering. Like, I get why Goemon's in the Super Famicom collection, as this series was pretty popular in Japan.
Until the PS2, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Well, actually, we'll have to get to that another time. Like, we do not have enough time to cover the entire rest of the series.
And we were just about to get to the wacky shit, too.
We can cover the next few Super NES games, but we will break at the generational gap. Gambare Goemon 2, Kitiritsu Shogun Magnitsu.
That's a word.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have the list up.
I'm like, all right, Mr. Linguistics, how do you pronounce that? Well,
Translating.
Yeah, he's like loading.
File not found.
Japanese not found. Cannot properly pronounce.
Reestablishing connection.
Sorry, I had my mic muted.
Good job.
I'm trying to find the game, the list of games also.
Damn it, Corey! We kept telling you to go right.
Yeah. Well, it translates out to the Strange General McGinnis.
Huh. Yeah, I don't see that on the
McGinnis.
list that I found.
McGinnis.
Well, it's the
Terry McGinnis?
no
Are we going Batman Beyond all of a sudden?
he's an analog to Matthew Perry.
Oh, I know that.
I'm just saying for those who don't know, like.
And Matthew Perry, for those of you who don't know, is the who's American, right? Admiral who went to Japan and said, hey, you know that closed country thing you've got going on where you're not letting us do any trade with you? Stop that. And they said no. And he said, I have several large ships with very large cannons that say, please stop that. And they said, okay.
I was about to say, it's like my cannons say otherwise, suckers.
Yeah.
You actually look him up. He has a very storied history. He's a very interesting guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
He did it to Shogun Magines, yeah. Pretty much what you said.
Thank you. Like,
Important part of Shogun McGinnis.
Yeah, so this game actually pairs down the minigame stuff and in its place, this is the debut of Goemon Impact.
Ah, yes. You thought Japan was crazy enough in the far back times of Goemon times. Now you got clockwork giant robots that make no goddamn sense.
Right.
But yet they have the greatest theme song ever, motherfuckers.
I'm not sure if they had Impact, the theme song in this game.
No. I think it probably showed up to 64, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's
not getting too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, it's like this game is also the debut of Sasuke as a playable character.
Makes sense that the important clockwork robot characters would be relevant in the same game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of goofy stuff. But where the game, it's pretty similar to the first one in terms of design and all that. Like, if further refined, that's probably why the games were gathered up and re-released on the DS, I think, or the Game Boy Advance, one of those systems. And that was actually the last release in the Goemon franchise, this remake, and then it was dead. But once again, we'll get into why that is later. Next up is Gambare Goemon. Oh boy.
I'm pretty sure this is just saying fever really weird.
Yeah, I'm like...
Fever with a bunch of tildes to make it wiggly.
Yeah. Well, okay. The translated name is the Mechanic Octopus Hold of the Lion Elite Guard.
Oh, Shishi Jirokube no Karakuri Manji Gatabe. Okay, gotcha. I was... Fever was a manga.
Gesundheit?
Yeah.
Did you just praise Jesus?
Like, otherwise known as Gambare Goemon 3. Like, this is the game that really took it in the direction of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned, the villain this time is Ibisumaru's French Catholic descendant, Bismaru. Yeah, she's from the future. Have I mentioned?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we mentioned this shit gets wacky because it gets wacky. I think you should have known that by now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
You're not
geez.
at fault for anything.
Yeah, it's like if something doesn't make sense, or it's by design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, when I say it gets like Zelda, it's because Goemon 1 and 2 on the Super NES, their maps, especially Goemon 2, were done like Super Mario World.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo, the first one that we're having on screen, the overworld is basically like 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up style, and then the actual levels are pretty much platformers.
Mm-hmm. And
surprisingly pretty good mix.
Yeah, and Goemon 3 here, it's like Link to the Past, with a united overworld. Like, and this is also like the introduction of. I'm not sure if this is the first time Yai shows up as a playable character, but
it might be the first one she's actually in.
Not the first one she's actually in, because she's.
Often right. You save her in one of the earlier ones.
Well, she's also in the Ganbare Goemon 2. It's just she's not playable. She's in the first one. She's not playable. She shows up as an NPC often.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just here she's playable, and I think this is where they started defining the characteristics. At least some of them, like. Some got defined earlier. It's like one of Goemon's signature attacks is the chain pipe.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to the first one. And his other thing is basically to go Super Saiyan.
Mm-hmm.
Ibisumaru.
That's not even a lie. His hair actually just turns yellow, and he gets all angry and more powerful. So that is.
It doesn't really spike up, but. It was already pretty spiky up.
No, it spikes up later. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like.
His hair, he's already known for having like the pineapple hair, so.
Yeah, I'm like, Sasuke has bombs that opens passages, which becomes his like standard thing. Yai turns into a mermaid, which is her big gimmick. Also, the bazooka.
For exploring water and heavy artillery, because that's what lady ninjas use.
I think it's
this is the true secret power of Yappan Ninpo.
Yeah, I think it's Ibisumaru whose powers keep changing.
His main power is the ability to still be relevant to the series.
Well, he's like the predominant player too, so that's not that wasn't changing. Like, and then we had, and then to cap off like the mainline Super NES series, it was Ganbare Goemon 4, or
let's see if I can find this.
It's Ganbare Goemon Kirakira Doichu Bokuga Dancer ni Natawake.
Oh, which is like, I don't know what Dochu is, but the last bit is something like I want the way to become a dancer, the way I became a dancer.
The Glittering Journey, the reason I became a dancer.
Reason, that's the one. Sorry, this is why I'm doing Duolingo, to brush up on my Japanese.
Yeah. I'm like, so this one we go to space.
Because of course. Why not?
Well, you knew it was going to happen at some point.
I'm surprised it didn't happen more often at this rate.
Yeah, I'm like, and the games kept changing. Like Goemon 4 goes back to the side-scrolling stuff. Like, and I think like all four, the quartet are playable here. This one I never played, so I'm like the least familiar. It is the game with the most requirements. Like, yeah, it's like it looks like this one was more of a return to form to the side-scrolling and mini games that defined the first two games than the outright Zelda clone of the third game. I'm like, and yeah, thinking about it, it was the third game that you kind of needed to know the Japanese language to really get around in.
Because you'll get hints that tell you how to progress, and hope you can read that.
Right. And I think this is where we're going to break because it's quarter to 11, and so this episode's kind of running along, and we've got talk shoe limits to keep in mind.
Right.
So with that, we will revisit the Gambare Goemon franchise again in the future. Not next week. We have another topic planned. Currently, we are going to be talking about MMO cash shops. That's a petty fan topic there for you.
Yay.
Yeah, unless something big happens in the news. Right.
What? Nintendo declared war on Russia?
Anyway,
get
the
on with
first
it.
time that happened in history.
The week ahead, this Sunday, we have reviews on Get Even, the game we did an interview with tonight, and Aztez, which we did an interview with a few weeks ago last season. And next week, I believe MSP is returning.
Unless it doesn't.
Yeah. And next week's guests, we do have a Tuesday show scheduled. We do have Yasin Salmi of Salmi Games returning. He's going to be talking about his VR project that he kind of scratched the surface on last time he was on the program. And also, let me see. We will be having on August 9th, Jason Kim of Cardboard Utopia, the developers of the Children's of the Zodiacs strategy game. Still waiting to hear back from him. Hopefully, I'll ping him again tomorrow. See what's going on there. And that is our slate for next week. We hope you will join us for that. And until Sunday, I wish you good gaming.
Alrighty.
Hey.